Okay, we ready?
To like introduce ourselves or something?
Hey.
Camera's rolling. We'll hit the audio button for me, please. Have a red button.
How are you feeling? Like, talk to us.
Hey, what do you need to move into? What do you need more of?
1, 2, 3.
I got a groove. I got a grind. I got a glue. I got a shine. I got a shine. I got a shine. I got a shine. Hold on. I got a groove. I got a grind. I got a glue. I got a shine. I got a shine. I got a shine. I got a. Hold on. I lost my mind. I ran out of time. I turned off mine. Chakras are blind. Like when you open a blind. Like when you open your mind. Hold on. I can't hold it back no more. I can't hold it back. I can't hold it back. I can't hold it back. I can't hold it back no more. I can't hold it back. I can't hold it back. I can't hold it back.
What is recess for me? Basically, is my second family, is my home.
You want to start us off?
I think I will, Allison. Okay, let's see.
All right.
But I'm not a top of the.
No, never
deck
the
kind
top of the
guy.
deck.
Okay, Allison. Oh, this is appropriate.
Very good.
What did the early days actually look like? Not the idea, but the reality.
So the early days of the assembly program, it was a lot of sort of building the plane as you fly. At the time, we were actually operating out of 3 sites because we had a footprint in our main location in Soho. We had programming at Pioneer Works in Red Hook, and we had this new site at 370 Schimmerhorn Street, the donated space where Assembly existed for its first, 2 years?
Correct.
Figuring out how to staff it and the quirks of getting the roll down gate to operate properly and the HVAC system and figuring out how the trash and recycling worked at a new spot, while also ironing out programming kinks. One of the things that I'm curious to hear, right, you as the co-founder of the program were also the inaugural artist of the activation of that space. And I'm curious if this resonates for you. But I think for me, all of the challenges that I anticipated for a program like Assembly, that was an alternative to incarceration, that was partnering with a community of young people that were coming to us from a place of trauma, right, of this traumatic experience that they had just been through with arrest. All of the challenges that I imagined were not the challenges that we faced in the space. And I'm curious if that resonates for you at all.
That definitely does resonate for me. What I remember most about the interaction with the cohorts of young people at the time was less about the navigating particular concerns, though that was always underlining all of our relationship building. It was this charge in the space. The workshops, it felt like the Wild Wild West. I mean, there were no lesson plans. There was no exercise actually written on paper. As an outgrowth of a project that was at its 3-year mark with Sable, Elise Smith, and Melanie Crean, really it was based off of a belief that this energy could be wielded and that something could be orchestrated.
Well, it was an art project. right? It wasn't necessarily a teaching module.
That's right.
It originated as a work of art. And that was the experiment. That was the core experiment, right? Like, could you operationalize this work of art in a way that would mirror some of the educational work you had done before? And I do think we did some retrofitting into something that was akin to lesson plan, but with a lot of care not to compromise the creative vision, right?
That's right. And the integrity of what we felt could be these touch points with our young people to the benefit of their development, and as was central to what would become Assembly, the relational aspect of the work. Well, as you said, were coming to us via a mandate through Brooklyn Justice Initiatives. And so therefore, what was core to how we approached the work was really just meeting people where they were at, and then attempting to develop a belief in this collaborative project that really was indescribable.
Right.
But there were high temperaments, there was a lot of emotion in the space, there was some argumentation, as I remember.
And the mood on session 1 was really different from the mood on session 6, right?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of, as you said, trust building, but also just sort of collective meaning making and shared language establishment. So I think, right, the energy that you described, the charge, was maintained throughout. What did you hope this could become? And what surprised you? What scared you?
Well, there were so many unknowns in those early days. One, because I think it's important to note that when you and I first started having conversations about the idea of a program that could be enacted as a direct intervention within the carceral system, we hadn't even nailed a partner within the court system. But in those first conversations, which was in the context of the election of Trump, I think when we first met was days post Trump's first election, to building out to the space, to welcoming our first cohort was a matter of months. And so there was a frenzy of energy, but also some confusion as to what the aims and goals would be alongside the metrics that were important to the court system.
Sure.
And so the idea of building the project brought with it, I think, a lot of insecurity. And also, we anticipated it lasting maybe 3 months.
Yeah, we
6.
conceived of it as a pilot.
Right. Conceptually, I knew there was a heft and gravity to the type of work, and therefore a real belief that young folks would buy into this questioning of law enforcement, and therefore an analysis of their relationship to arrest and incarceration, what ultimately was the project goal. The mechanics are the things that we were so unsure of. And I also really critically remember this internal feeling that I just simply wanted young folks to be safe. And then over the years, that was transformed from this pouring into the idea of survival into something that was driven by youth, led by youth, toward their thriving.
Sure.
And so it was a very different scope, but also outlook at the potential of Assembly.
And I think for my part, right, I had my goals or my hopes for the program were twofold. I had these goals that I shared with you very much around what it might mean for the young people and for the artists participating in the program. And those goals were very much I want to decouple any assumption of partnership with the system, with the courts, and situate partnership with our young people and with our artists, right? Like that is where partnership exists. And I think what I hoped it might do for Recess is take Recess from a place of commentary, right, into a place of a little bit more stake, a little bit more grit and messiness, direct involvement in the systems in which artists had been commenting and generating like really gorgeous, important content and
Representational
meaning.
work.
Exactly. So artists had been, in the context of the session program, making work about the carceral system in an increasingly urgent volume, right? And so we saw this trend, and at a certain point it became disingenuous to just make work about these issues. And so we needed deeper stakes. We needed to have a greater sense of accountability, right?
What did you hope Assembly would become? And where did it exceed or challenge that vision? Oh, that's a good one.
I think I hoped it would become more than direct services and exist as system intervention and systems change, or even in our most ambitious moments as abolition. I think there was always a challenge in doing abolitionist work with one foot inside any existing system, any accountability to, the Brooklyn Criminal Court building and its stakeholders therein, muddied that vision.
That's right.
And so as the program evolved, I think you and I came up against that again and again. And ultimately the peer-to-peer referral model helped with that, but didn't solve it. And so that's where I think that vision was challenged. I also had hopes for the ways it might push the envelope for how artists practice.
Hey, Lindsay.
Hey, KT.
How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good. Well, let's get into it.
You ready? Okay.
You want to? No, you do. Okay. KT, what does success look like for something like this?
Yes, great question. I think that in Assembly, success is like one of our strengths, is that it's both individual successes and collective successes. Like we have so many different versions of that. But one of the things that definitely sticks out to me the most is just when people in Assembly create things that they're proud of, and like then we can make art that they are proud to create, that tells the story of them like authentically. Like that's an everyday success that I can see throughout all mediums, and like writing, throughout when they collaborate with each other, even like the success of a good combo with a collaborator, So I think that in an artist ecosystem like this, it can be so many things. When I see that Assembly artists create something that they're proud of, that's just like the most successful thing. And other things too. It's like, we obviously we provide structural support for like for also things that they need, like for systems of harm. So like it's also, success can look like us supporting someone's immigration case, or obviously like helping them be held accountable while they're going through a really hard like moment in the criminal justice system. Like that, being there for someone while they're navigating paperwork, bureaucracy, systems of harm, the carceral system, like that's also such a version of success, is when we can actually help them move through these systems. So it's both the really large resourcing successes, but it's also the everyday wins and the everyday successes of just creating things that we love and that we care about.
Yeah, thank you for naming it's like the intersection of artistry and like resourcing and care and support and like what it means to have like the practical, like here's the supplies and here's the letter, but also the kind of relational and communal aspect, because I definitely agree that that's a huge part of what success looks like for Assembly, but also these types of programs, and Assembly as a diversion program, as an alternative to incarceration for those who are coming in with open cases. I think there's the immediate success of diverting out of that and continuing to kind of amplify the value of programs like this. But then also, because I think what we're trying to do is build something that is imaginative. It is like creating the world that is, that can allow so many people to define and create safety and love and community and all of that, outside of these systems of harm. Like I do feel like, the big part of success is both the creation of this thing and the disruption of that other thing, right? So it's like the carceral systems and the ways in which, whether it's like prisons themselves or the mindset, right, of punishment or of control. Right. I think a success looks like a disruption in that, to be able to see and experience and understand that there's other ways are possible, and not only possible, but necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Next question. All right. Okay, this is a good one. How is Assembly different from traditional education spaces?
I mean, we've both been in many different education spaces, whether that's, public school systems, whether that's after school, whether that's, in school, whether that's museum setting, right? There's all different types of ways in which education, art education especially, can show up. I think what makes this space super different is the agency and choice that's present throughout, that I think you've especially, KT, like really built, and so that it really is, whether it's like peer leadership, the kind of central bedrock of the tiers, that really is kind of like a choose your own adventure. Like here's a platter, pick and choose what you want. I think that's very rare for spaces. For education spaces, I also think this age range, 18 to 26, is an incredibly important age range, because there's a lot of systems, like education systems, that don't work for folks, whether it's, college, whether it's, graduating high school, whether it's, pre-professional, training, like all of that. It's kind of this period of time where folks get often under-resourced, and especially in this moment when there's less and less jobs available for like emerging professionals or whatever, or pathways to being an artist. I think that's where spaces like this really differ. It's not a traditional art school. It's not a traditional, like structured school environment. It's a free-flowing community that is built by the people in it.
Yeah, I would say the same things. Like, I think that autonomy is such a big part of that it's unfortunately taken away a lot of the times in education processes outside of this, and like kind of restructuring how we're supposed to learn and be in relationship to each other, and how we create together. It feels different in here. It's like very intentionally designed to not really be a reflection of any other kind of container, because it is a space of autonomy. Big differences is that we compensate people, we pay people to be here. So I think for us too is like really honoring, and that to create and to dream and to have the capacity to create in a really meaningful way, people need to be resourced. And I think that really becomes a point of like understanding that artists deserve to be resourced, and they need to be resourced in order to fully dream and create to the ways that they deserve.
Awesome.
Live.
So what does a decarceral creative space actually feel like in practice?
It's like a place of liberation and freedom. It's inclusive. It's a place where people get an opportunity to show up as their full, authentic selves and an opportunity to grow. It's inspiring. It's a place where you can really find your way. If you're not quite sure where you at along the way, you can really find your way and you can find purpose in a place like that, in a place, a decarceral space. Your work, your creative practice, and your experience can actually inform what your creative practice is, right? It gives room for a person to really find their voice and to become activated in ways that they probably didn't know existed within them.
When I think of decarceral, I think that you're allowed to make a mistake, and it doesn't confine you.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't define that this is the only thing that you can actually be in life.
So what do young people carry with them when they arrive here?
So many things. So I think sometimes being lost, there's curiosity, there's trepidation, there's some fear, and then there's like a lot of courage too, I think, in terms of just like showing up regardless of everything that seems to be not going right. And I think the more that young people are in this space, they bring back like the light that kind of lives inside of each and every one of us, right? So, is it okay for me to shine my light as bright as I want to without someone telling me, hey, nah, calm it down?
A theme that comes there for me, they come with their own stories, own experiences, and within all that, even despite some difficulties, they're still super resilient, and they show up with a lot of strengths and a lot of incredibly redeeming qualities. And I think one of the things that when they get here is that what got you here doesn't define you. And that I think is what makes it really beautiful. Allow young people to be unapologetically themselves and to actually shine their light. And like you said, so yeah. What does healing look like in a space like this?
Reflection, silence, boldness, some tears, some joy. I think it looks like giving, when someone is able to share, or they've come in and they say like, I didn't think I would say anything, and here I am, like, being able to tell you my life story, to be present, in a way in which that they're not running away from something. And especially when it's like, okay, cool, like I actually get to deal with this, right? Like this thing happened, but instead of me just ignoring it, let me dwindle down and figure out what are the many steps or the things that kind of caused and created that. And being with that in a way that you no longer have to repeat that cycle. And I think it's interesting to, I guess, like when we use art as a way and a focus to really cement that for young people, and then when sometimes like you get to see it like on the walls, or like you hear it in something, and in that way like that history or is changed. And I think that's in a very esoteric, all kind of spaces way. But I think that feels like what healing in a space looks like.
Oh, incredible! Well said. You know, I think of like there's numerous examples here of like what healing looks like individually and as a group. Individually is just seeing people find ways to seek me out when they need to talk about things, and we have a particular medium, like where as far as like social workers, that people think I always have to go sit in somebody's office and be in this closed, confined space and discussing these things. And sometimes it was just like, I remember one young person on Saturdays, they would get here earlier and we sit and we look out the window and we just talk. We just talk, and you know, and those moments were really special. And then the thing as a group and the cohesion that comes from all the working together is the monthly open mic. Seeing that, and like how young people just gather together, they set up the space, they do. I mean, it's led by young people and recess staff, and then just kind of observe, and then people from the public come in and stop in, and it's food and exchanging, and it's just like everyone is supporting each other. It's just like, it's just wonderful to be a witness to that kind of growth and healthy communities. And like, as I always say, I just love seeing young people win.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I think there's so many W's that come in here, and some stay around for long periods of time, and then others go out into the world and sort of spread some of that love and help other people get W's, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's just, yeah, it's fantastic.
Like this, come on. That boom bap like this, come on. Yeah. The pangs may rise, the thirst may call, but faith and purpose stand through it all. Each hour path, a step, a climb, a soul refined, a heart aligned. With every prayer, my strength restores, a love for God that soars and soars. The sunset brings a joyful sight, a table set, a home so bright.
Hi guys, my name is Shamar Amir. I am a fellow here at Recess. I've been here for about 2 years now. I am a creative director, producer, choreographer, storyteller, you name it, I'm in there. I learned the community, I love the community, and I want to bring more to the table for the community. So I applied to be a fellow, and by the grace of God, I'm here right now. This is a little bit more responsibility. This is not only showing up to the space, but showing up as your best self, trying to inspire others to be their best self, trying to motivate everybody, get them to share their work, get them to talk about their art, get them to talk about what medium that they love or what they're interested in. And we kind of just all lean on each other and support each other. We're always checking, like, dropped a new song yet? What you doing with that video? What you doing with that photo shoot that you did 3 weeks ago? You know, so we're always just pushing each other to make sure that we're putting out this work. That's what we're here for. And it's great to meet people from different walks of life, different Black and brown people who are trying to be artists, but also be humanitarians and be people who care for their communities. And we're trying to figure out how we can curate these opportunities for our community ourselves. How can we be the head of it? You know, how can we extend this out? We don't want to hold these resources, and it's not often that a place like Recess falls on your lap. So I'm super grateful to have been a part of this whole process, and it literally changed my life. Like, I don't think I'm the same person that I was 2 years ago when I walked through that door. I'm not that shy, timid person who doesn't want to say what their art medium is. You know, before I used to be like, oh man, I dance a little bit, but it's like, no, I dance, I direct, I produce, I curate, I bring together communities, I bring a good vibe to the table, and I want to continue to extend that on. My main passion, my purpose path is to take those that the world deems as underdogs, and I want to make them superstars. And that's what I'll do. We can leave a lasting impression on people with our art when we get the chance, when we get the opportunity. We don't get that on a regular day, and we finally got it. We all did new talents. We all tried different things and made it work. And I'm super grateful.
I came through recess through the justice system. I had a misdemeanor felony, and part of my best way to like say it is like not have a criminal record was to come through here, and that's like 2018. So I've been here for a good 7 to 8 years.
Quite some time.
Yeah.
My history with recess is that I came in through a referral. I came in through a great friend of mine, Jaylin. And I first got here, I saw the open mic, and I was like, whoa, what is this? And I just fell in love with the space after. And then I saw KT, which I used to work with at an educational space. And yeah, I was just like, yeah, I need to stay here. Like wherever this space is, I'm a part of.
Who were you before you found Assembly, and who are you now?
Oh, this is a good question. Before Assembly, I was just Mejari. Like what I said, I was like Miss Mejari, the teacher. After Assembly, I became Mejari the rapper, Mejari the entrepreneur, Mejari the mom. Now I'm about to become Mejari the director, you know? So I'm going up. With Assembly, it helped me find my purpose to want to do more and better myself.
For Assembly, I'd say I was Nathan Bernard, and after I'd say I'm St. Christopher.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It took a while for me to like really find who I was, and then within that process, I've become a creative director, a brand owner, a fashion designer, a graphic designer, and that's one of the few things I get to say I'm proud of when I leave here. While it took a while, but you know what I'm saying? It's all about the journey sometimes, and
yeah.
I found myself to love who I am now. You know what I'm saying? I've grown peace with who I am now. So my work speaks for everything I stand for now.
Yeah. Okay, what did this space give you that you couldn't find anywhere else?
What did this space give me that I couldn't find anywhere else? Definition and community. You know what I'm saying? Like, I now look at my friend group deeper than us just being friends. It's like, how do we problem solve real world situations that we go through with life?
Yeah.
How can we rely on each other just for either conversation or like actual needs, you see what I'm saying? And that's been a beauty for me. Couldn't really find that nowhere else because at the time I was young. I was just like living life, you know what I'm saying? But now I live for purpose. Now I live for like, if my friends go through something, I can help them in the sense of like, I've grown through certain programs that give me better insight that I could now help you out with. So that's like definite definition of community.
So my name is Amir D. Akram. I was initially a peer leader from 2019 to 2020, and then I later became a fellow. I was one of the first in the fellowship cohort in recess. And learning about it was actually directly through Shaun Leonardo, the ex-director and the ex-assembly organizer. And through him, I'd actually been going through a lot of mental health issues, and I was hospitalized in a ward for some time. And I came out I was doubtful about school. At the time I was going to the Fashion Institute of Technology, but after all of that, like doing it felt very disgruntled for me. I talked to Shaun and he knew about my background, like relating to people like within court diverge work and being of that like nature. Like my father's been to jail, my uncle's been to jails. I've almost been locked up a few times. And he was just like, you know what, just come through this program. And from that's where I kind of came into contact. Now I'm a person that would never do that again. I'm a person that looks back and I'm happy for all the work I put in before reaching that point of feeling like reality was something that art couldn't be involved in. That art was an distraction. I felt like I'm a person now that stands way more firm in my beliefs that art is alchemy. I'm way more firm in my blackness, and my blackness relating to art made me much more comfortable with it. Like self-hatred isn't as much a part of my language as I think it was before Assembly. I'm a person like rooted in the power of like pursuing dreams. I think this space gave me a really needed intersection of what I thought was the world I'm from and the world that I wanted to be in. This space gave me a real education in terms of like radical politics, that relating to art and activism, like kind of intersecting and being this thing that is uplifting for communities. I felt like I'm too black for the kids that were into art that seemed to be all like white kids, privileged kids, and I'm too into art and nerdy stuff for the black kids, where it's just like, damned if I do, damned if I don't. And this gave me that perfect balance of seeing all that stuff collide, where it's just like, now I could be honest about growing up with people that were incarcerated and seeing like the damage in that. I don't have to pretend and put on a front that I am, I don't have to put up a front at all, actually. This space gave me like a real group of people that have been through a lot, such as myself, so a lot even more than myself, and really gave me the belief that like art is just as much for us, and usually the art that we create is realer than the art of these sheltered and very like uplifted privileged children, and that was important for me. It informed my art, it informed my way of life, it informed my attitude towards myself, and others. And yeah, I couldn't find that anywhere else. I felt like all the other art spaces I tried to be in felt like odd man out, and all of like the blacker like music and art spaces, I somehow felt like I wasn't enough for those either. Like I didn't speak the same language as certain people. And here it was just like, no, that's a part of what makes you an artist. You're a little bit different from everyone else. Being in that first fellowship cohort, I was surrounded by like people who were just like, wow, what you do is cool. You have value in what you do, and like this, I can see you making a life out of this, and let's build up your skills and make that a reality. People here, I learned so much about how to move through space with some revolutionary ideals. I learned to stop putting on masks consistently, to like survive in spaces that didn't feel comfortable for you, and to like own yourself. I learned that our tribulations and trials aren't these things that we should erase and throw to the side once we're in better positions. I feel like I've seen so many people use negative experiences and life circumstances and turn into some of the most amazing art. And that in and of itself has been like the most valuable lesson for me, where I always thought art was something in isolation and purely about illustrating your pain. But now I began to see like art can be this thing that's done with like-minded and even different people. And you turn that pain into something extremely beautiful and telling of how the world is as a reflection of what the world does, and imagine a better future.